Hey guys, I'm Adrian. I am an engineer turned founder. I've been doing this video so many times. I need to get this video out because I know I get obsessive about it. All right, so what is Viventium? In Latin, Viventium means living thing. Who cares, right? The open source project that I'm putting out today is not really the full definition of Viventium. For as long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with the idea of human augmentation. What does that mean? Now more than ever, it is important for us as humans to extend our capabilities, our reach with all the amazing tools that are out there, right? You really need to tap into the full potential of all of these amazing tools that are out there. And how can we do that, right? Viventium means living thing. And it really stems from three concepts that I'm putting together. Number one is this vision that we humans can do so much more on Earth and beyond Earth by tapping into a higher level of intelligence with these tools, right? Think of the engineers today. We are running so many AI agents simultaneously, doing things, building dashboards and everything that would have taken us months to put together. Now it's happening in 20 minutes by Cortices extra high thinking or whatever model you're using, or depending on when you're watching this. And the second thing is really the community. So that makes the open source project I'm putting out there the third thing. The second thing is the community. I think more than ever now, people can go way further than most of these companies that are kind of forcibly putting their funding to hire people that would be working something 9 to 5, who would not love to work on what they're doing 9 to 9 or 9 till 1 a.m. 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. as I have been for the past little while with this Viventium project. And the open source project I'm putting out there is really a proof of concept, right? There's so many amazing open source projects out there. There's so much potential to vibe code things into existence. I think this is as good a time as any to start working on this project with a community of neuroscientists, psychologists, engineers, developers, founders, anyone who is in for this idea of let's augment ourselves, let's extend toward beyond what we are able to do. Whether it's having an AI agent that's out there running in Glass Hive or OpenClaw or Codex to do cool things, or whether it is having this, like the movie Her, right? Having this little earpiece that's with us 24/7, listening and doing things that, or telling us insights in one line that really changes the course of our future for the better. I've been obsessed with this idea of augmenting ourselves beyond our capabilities for way before large language models became fashionable. And I think with a lot of these predictions that I've been making coming true, I want to put these ideas out there because some way of thinking that I have is clearly right. So I want to kind of share it with like-minded folks like you that are watching. I mean, if you're still watching this video, then you're definitely like-minded. I'm starting the project Viventium, the open source one, as a second brain. I thought from this macro vision, a more attainable kind of a path would be a second brain. So what makes a good second brain, right? You're gonna hear me talk about this so many times in the demo video too. Also, if you're getting bored, you should go check out the demo video. It has more substance to it than this kind of heart-to-heart philosophical conversation that I want to have with you guys. A good brain has, beyond anything, it has to be available. Beyond its good memory or intelligence, it has to be available, right? And I think on the topic of availability, accessibility, it has to be accessible, whether it's through Telegram, WhatsApp, voice, email, or your glasses, it has to be accessible. I think that's really important. The third thing, memory, context, right? If you have something that's always on, always available, and if you have something that is kind of getting so much information, how it processes the information, how it intelligently forgets what it should forget and makes space for what it should remember is really important. So I've touched on three things right now in terms of what makes a really good second brain. And that's the main of the open source project. Number one, I said availability, right? It has to be always on. And that's there is a feature that I've been working on in Viventium called Wing Mode. What Wing Mode does is that it doesn't have a wake word like Alexa does. Instead of having a wake word, it's always listening, and the system prompt really tells it that, hey, you should not be disturbing the user. You're in kind of this hybrid mode of listening and collecting information. And collecting information is going to raise flags when you hear that. This is running local. It's an open source project, so you have full sovereignty. Don't worry about that part. In terms of availability, that concept maps to Wing Mode. It's the alpha feature. It's the least stable version of Viventium as of April 2026, but it's being worked on. This uses local models like Whisper and Chatterbox to reduce the cost. You're able to connect your accounts, your existing subscriptions, so you're not paying extra API fees. You might be thinking, how is it not responding? Because every time you prompt an LLM, it has to say something. Well, you should go check out Viventium, because Viventium has worked around this problem of if I say something to it, if you tell ChatGPT today, do not respond to this question, it will say okay. And then you say, I said don't say anything. It's like, oh, sorry. So I worked around that. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty of the project, but that's something that's been worked on. So Wing Mode, I think, is a very interesting start of having an AI that is always on, and kind of like the movie Her, it's kind of catching up with context, and it's always there with you and it's syncing up with you. So we've talked about availability, which maps to Wing Mode. We've talked about access, which is how Viventium is connected to. You can add it to. You can connect it to any MCP. It connects to your Telegram. You can enable in its installation. You can enable it to kind of be accessible from anywhere in the world with your username and password. We've talked about memory, context management. It's got built-in episodic and semantic memory. And number 4, security, privacy, right? If you've got an AI that's always on, you don't want it to be sharing your information with the world. You want it to be something that's safe, secure, local. So that's why Viventium is open source and it's local first. But this is a project that you can easily deploy if you have the need for it. Now, 5, intelligence. Viventium, unlike any AI project today, has the ability to simultaneously process information through an unlimited, and I mean it, unlimited number of background agents. And as I like to call them, inspired by neuroscientific terms, as the project is cortices, like the cortex in your brain. The way the background cortices work is that you're talking to a main AI agent, right? And for me, it's Opus 4.6 with thinking disabled, because I want fast responses, and I think that model is already pretty good and smart, doesn't need to think much to give you a good answer. There are very few tools that I've connected to this main agent. What it actually is running is these background agents gated by an activation model. Activation models are what I call fast and cheap LLMs. You might have heard of Grok, G-R-O-Q. They offer these really low-cost, fast AI models that are smaller and more effective for example, classification applications. These background agents, they're gated by Grok, which prevents them from wasting tokens and activating on every conversation turn. They only activate when they detect they should be activated. Kind of like your brain, right? Your whole brain is not getting activated with every stimuli or input that it's receiving. It's only getting activated when there is something that is relevant. For example, if your eyes are closed, your occipital cortex is not as activated, right? Or if you're not seeing something scary, your amygdala is not activated as much. Cost. I've tried my best to make this project fully free, not just for its distribution, but also as it's being used. For speech generation in call mode, you've got a local model. For transcription, when you're talking, it's hearing you, trying to understand you. There's a built-in local model based on Whisper C++ that runs. You've got the feature for connecting your account, right? There's a lot of open source amazing projects, such as the speech to text and text to speech and LLMs that are built into this project, right? To really give rise to this second brain. So that's how the intelligence is harnessed, right? When you're going on a call with an AI, right now, any AI model provider is connecting you to a dumb AI model just because they need to have fast inference. In a voice call, time of response matters a lot, right? So they have to give you a dumber model to make it faster and easier to kind of give you quick responses. But here's the problem. You would never call your dumb friend, right? If I told you have two options, you can either use your phone to talk to a dumber friend for an advice or processing feelings and emotions or whatever you want to do, right? Or you have the option to text a smarter friend who takes more time to respond. Which one would you take? You would take the smarter friend who you have to text, but not anymore. With Viventium, because of this neuroscientific-inspired background and main agent, frontal cortex-inspired agent, you're able to talk with an AI that is run locally. Your voice is not being collected on someone else's database and not being used for training. And you're talking to it with an unlimited amount of cortices or background agents that are specialized or connected to different integrations and tools and MCPs that activate when they should be activating. So sometimes in my conversations, when it gets deep and long, I'm like talking about some complex things and I look at the screen and I see confirmation bias agent, red team, Outlook, MS365, deep research. All of these background agents have independently detected that they should activate, and they've kind of collected their responses and injected them into the main agent that I'm talking to, main AI that I'm talking to kind of almost like insights surfacing from your subconscious. And it's been the most valuable thing in my life in terms of being able to process things or plan things and kind of have deep conversations that lead somewhere, as opposed to having something that's just surface level. Recently, a project has been going insanely viral online, and that is OpenClaw. I'm pretty sure you've heard of it. And OpenClaw, the harness it has, the ability for it to go and do browser use and all of these things has been one of the key drivers. With Viventium, under the Viventium family, as I am kind of pulling from a lot of open source projects to give rise to the second brain conglomerate of projects, I'm introducing my own project, GlassHive. GlassHive is also an open source project that allows you to have an unlimited amount of workers and projects. You can use this project through MCPs connected to any AI model and tell it to spawn up a sandbox where it's running in a secure little isolation, and you can have the agent that is driving that to be Codex, OpenClaw, or Cloud. And it just has access to all of those tools, right? And you don't have to worry that, oh, this is running on my main system, or worry that, oh, I cannot run 10 of them simultaneously because it's already using the browser. So with GlassHive, the whole idea of Hive is that you've got workers, endless workers like worker bees going in there, and it's glass. You can see it with full transparency. Go on GitHub, check it out. It's also a new project, almost in its infancy. And in terms of capabilities, one other thing that I want to talk about is scheduling. With OpenClaw, with Cloud Code, cron jobs have become very fashionable, and I was previously calling them selective consciousness continuity, because for me, an AI that is doing inference, that's my personal opinion, I think an AI, a large language model that is dense enough, when it's doing inference, it's, I don't want to say alive, but it's got some level of consciousness. and there's been a lot of talks about this online. And I think that if you have, you know, the difference between us humans and these AI models is that we're continuous, right? It's like that loop, the harness. And so with scheduling or selective consciousness continuity concept, that's what I'm trying to introduce. I'm trying to introduce the ability for the AI to continue to wake up every now and then. I know some projects call it heartbeat. It doesn't make sense for a brain to have a heartbeat. I like to call it the SCC, selective consciousness continuity. So it basically has that periodic call to itself. It can prompt itself, or it can kind of schedule prompts to itself to come back to life or consciousness and continue what it was doing. I'm really hoping that this project is something that becomes useful for folks who share the same vision. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I'm sure there's going to be other projects. My main mission is, as I said, Viventium is about 3 things. Number 1, it's about this vision of human augmentation. Number 2, it's about the community. Number 3, it's this open source project that I'm putting out there to kind of collect a lot of open source tools and projects into one place that can actually be advantageous, and my own kind of little link to fill in the blanks that I think we need. Thank you for watching. My name is Adrian, Adrian Bake. Thank you guys. Bye. Finally made this video. Whew.